house burnt down by fire did not tell its story more plainly than did this valley.
See here, this is part of the Pit's Head Tuff, as it's called, which is a geological name for this sort of band of rock that comes all the way from Beddgelert through Snowdon and into Cwm Idwal, and this is the hard rock that held back Cwm Idwal, really. The rock itself is composed of these siliceous nodules, but the formation of what you see here is sort of post-glacial, really. It still happens today. Water seeps into the cracks, it expands when it freezes, and it blows the rock apart. So, you know, this type of landscape is definitely still prominent on the tops of Glyndŵr and above Cwm Idwal, where you get this tall landscape of shattered, fragmented rock. To us today, it's pretty obvious, isn't it, that something drastically happened to this rock to make it this shape. You know, the rounded nature and all of these around here, that the whole landscape is like a series of Homer Simpson's heads, all sort of bald and rounded. But when you look closely, you can see evidence of how this actually happened. You can see the scratch marks, the striations as they're known. So the base of the glacier would have carried all of this debris from the tops. And as it came over this immovable object, it would have just scratched its way. I quite often think of a cat, you know, when it's clinging onto something, just scratching its way before it falls. So you can see evidence of that. Even though it's really hard rock, you can see that the scratch marks are there. So you can see the cleavage of the bedrock here, which is coming in this direction, but in a curious way there's scratches going this way as well, which tells us that the ice would have come over and up and over this very hard rock, and scratching the base of the glacier would have been, which carries rocks and all sorts of debris, would have been scratching away at this as well. So all of these marks here you can see are going in a different direction to the sort of cleavage direction of the bedrock itself. They would have been caused by the glacier as well. So this is how basically the action of a glacier, this is how it works in eroding bedrock features, especially hard stuff like this. And this is a classic roche moutonné, but it's actually sat at the threshold of Cwm Idwal as well. So a very tough exposed bedrock here. So here's another clue that Darwin might have seen. Behind me here, the river's quite nicely cut away the profile of the bank here, and it shows the structure of the soil. So the lower bit is what the glacier would have deposited. You can see lots of smaller stones there, and then above that is the peat layer. So all the sort of thousands of years since the ice receded has led to that darker layer of peat above it. Cwm Idwal is one of those places that still attracts hundreds of school groups every year, and the university as well, and sort of higher level scientific groups as well. It's still a lot to be discovered here, so it's got something for everyone, not just your climbers and your photographers and your day trippers. It's still a sort of a case study in its own right.